it's time for the other arcade games of 1980.
Hey guys, I'm Pixel Dan, and this is the other arcade games of 1980. Crazy Climber, Taito's skyscraper climbing game, and the precursor to the platformer genre. Armor Attack, the vector graphics tank and helicopter shooter. Extra Bases, Midway's trackball baseball game. Star Castle, it's a monochrome vector-based game that got its colors from plastic transparent screen overlays. So there you go, guys. That's the other arcade games of 1980. Hope you got a pocket full of quarters.
Continue.
Another company that was founded in 1980, very influential, is Broderbund. Broderbund? I'm still not exactly sure how to pronounce it, with that O with the thing in the thing.
And the company was actually called Broderbund internally to begin with, even though it eventually became known as Broderbund because it sounds better. It doesn't sound like some sort of weird cummerbund beer mixture, Broderbund.
All I know is that for most of my life I pronounced it Borderbound because I'm an idiot.
So Broderbund was started by brothers Doug and Gary Carlston in Eugene, Oregon.
Broderbund, they now had something called like strategy games that they were big on.
Now the first of their games was Galactic Empire, one of Doug's games that he developed as a lawyer and released in 1980, originally for the TRS-80 microcomputer from Radio Shack.
The company started out with Galactic Empire and then later was known for a lot of its kind of educational series, or at least thought-provoking series.
It was a real-time strategy space empire game where the goals were pretty modest. You just take over the entire friggin' universe within 999 years, you know. No big deal, just take over everything that exists.
Broderbund sounds like a piece of clothing, like, oh shit, my Broderbund is showing.
Or it's something that could potentially be riddled with tumors.
Yes.
I remember when I was a kid, Sun Tzu's Ancient Art of War, where you had your units, you controlled how their formations you controlled. You had barbarians, you had archers or knights, you had fortresses, and so they expanded the idea of a game.
Dr. Scholl's makes something for Broderbunds.
Carmen Sandiego. The whole Carmen Sandiego series is probably what it's most famous for developing, although it also published Myst and Riven.
Galactic Empire was followed shortly by Galactic Trader and Galactic Revolution, which was actually the precursor to the 4X subgenre of strategy games. So yeah, you have games that came later like Master of Orion that owe a heck of a lot to the Galactic series of games.
Sadly, Broderbund was bought by the Learning Company in 1998, and then through a series of unfortunate events, wound up having its workforce slashed in half by the Learning Company, and then got bought, and then they got bought, and then bought, and now basically all of the Broderbund assets are under the Ubisoft umbrella. So, vive la France, I guess.
Next stage.
Missile Command. A game where you command missiles, you do not ask them politely. Missiles simply do not respond to polite requests. You have to command them. And the designer of the game, Dave Toyrer, knew this.
Missile Command, in my opinion, is probably, safe to say, Mike, hit me if I'm wrong, the first survival horror game.
Pretty much right.
I mean, it was the first game that arguably dealt with the conflict in the 80s between the Soviet Union and the United States.
I know when I played the game, I pictured the bad guys as the Russians.
Yeah.
The original levels in Missile Command were supposed to represent 6 cities in California.
Well, that was the original intent anyway.
The original intent, right.
While the game's designer Dave Toyer was creating the game, he was haunted by nightmares of major cities being nuked, just like in the game. Let's hope it was just a nightmare and not a premonition.
I actually played the game first on the Atari 2600, and all of that bleak war stuff based in reality was gone. I mean, you had like Zardon and Krytal sci-fi alien planets that were warring with each other. Who wants that, man?
Each city had its own individual stock of missiles, and you had to calculate who's going to hit missile first, and this and that.
Bombarding us with nuclear missiles, and it's only me, only me and a trackball.
And then those bloody things that would go beep, 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 flash down from the top, and could never hit those stupid things.
You just have to think quick if you want to stay on top of things. It's essentially, you can't win the game, it's to see how far you can go.
It's fast-paced, it's very colorful, the graphics on it, just the shots of the missiles going up. There's some strategy involved, which silo you're going to shoot out to hit what. There's missiles that split apart when they come down. Oh, I love it. It's very difficult but very fun.
Missile command's controlled with the trackball. Now I know I've complained a lot about trackballs in the past, but it actually makes sense to me in this game. Anytime you gotta move a cursor around, I'd prefer a trackball to a joystick. Moving a cursor around with a joystick is like using an Etch-a-Sketch to draw anything really.
The thing that really sticks with me about Missile Command is that if you're in one of those enclosed cabinets where you're sitting down and it's just really dark, there's only one, you can only come in the one side and the other side's closed off, and you have the speakers right here.
There's no music. It's just the imminent threat of you not able to save all of these various cities from being completely vaporized.
You feel like you're in like a Cold War bunker and World War III is raining down upon you, and it's your job to stop the Soviets from decimating your country.
My favorite appearance of Missile Command of all time in pop culture is when Eddie Furlong plays it in the arcade in Terminator 2.
Yes.
Before he plays Afterburner.
Yeah, which is a better game, arguably.
My favorite part of Missile Command is losing because it's got the best ending screen ever. It just says "The End," and it's bright and red and goes and it's global thermonuclear war, and it's awesome.
Now that's how you say "Hasta la vista, baby."
Rogue. Yeah, one of the few games to have an entire genre named after it. It's like Primus. You know, they're the band, like what kind of genre are they? They're Primus, man. You can't describe them as anything else. Rogue? Yeah, they're roguelikes.
We call them platformers. We don't call them Super Mario RPGers. Likes.
Rogue is basically the granddaddy of all hack and slash and dungeon crawling games.
It was kind of like an action RPG using ASCII characters, ASCII art, which is a great throwback. I just love that.
It's all text. Everything from your character to the monsters to the corridors are represented by various ASCII characters and letters and numbers.
But there was this whole random element, the procedurally generated dungeons and the fighting and the monsters and everything.
Anytime you played the game again, there was going to be a set of randomly designed levels. So it was different every single time.
It was the perfect alternative for a dork who couldn't D&D with his friends on a game night. He could load the game up and the computer would play Dungeon Master for him.
Roguelikes, that's one of those terms that really hasn't died out.
Games like Diablo, hugely influenced by Rogue. Phantasy Star Online, Monster Hunter.
Heck yeah, Rogue, being awesome, ahead of the curve, roguelike.
Arcade rank.
Tempest. Actually, this is the game my brother used to play constantly in the arcades. I used to follow him in the arcades and watch him play Tempest.
The Tempest cabinet itself was beautiful. The purple colors, it was almost like blacklit almost. It was just really nice, and that's one of the machines I always wanted to own, was a Tempest machine.
Tempest was initially designed to be a first-person perspective Space Invaders.
And it was also one of the first games to use Atari's new vector color display, which was huge at the time and is a big component to that game, because one of the neatest things about that game is the damn color in that game. It looks really cool.
It was sort of like foreshadowing like 3D and the way the colors moved, and I just didn't even hardly know how to play the game. I just like to see it move around. So I'm not even sure, I couldn't even tell you how to play the game or what the object was.
You're a little geometric shape.
You're a ship.
You're a ship.
In space, probably.
Cool space though, tunnel space.
Sweet space, yes.
And you spin around in a circle and you shoot at enemies that come at you. 3D that come at you.
And it also uses a spinner.
That's right. a dial spinner. You just whip that bad boy and go around the tubes.
It was probably, when you think about vector-based games, that Tempest really took advantage of it fully, because you had great color, true 3D, and it was a blast. It's just unfortunate that, you know, no console or computer at the time could handle a port of the game.
Now, the gaming innovation of 1980.
Oh, hello. This is Rue for the gaming innovation of 1980. What new technology graced the world and changed the face of gaming forever? Space Panic was made by Universal, and is generally considered the first platform game. In it, you had a little man in red scrambling up and down ladders in order to avoid aliens. While not the most popular arcade game, one could certainly see the potential. Maybe by adding a jumping mechanic or a big monkey. That does it for the gaming innovation of 1980. Be sure to come back for 1981, and don't forget, it's not just nostalgia, it's science. Oh look, I solved it.